Welcome everyone to another episode. It's your host here, Annalena, and today I'm going to talk about something in human design that may be a little bit triggering, but I think also going to be a huge relief for many of you. So I have mentioned this many times before that anything we have out there, any tool, any strategy, we can use it in different ways. We can use it against us, so it's not really helpful for us, or we can use it in very magical ways. So it can be astrology, it can be the Enneagram. Here we're talking about human design, right? And I obviously love human design. That's why this is a very big part of the work I do. That's why I talk a lot about it on my podcast, why you see a lot of posts about human design also on my Instagram, because it was life-changing for me. It gave me this permission to be fully myself, and I continue to see other elements in the chart that take it always like to the next level. But I have also been noticing that we can really use it in a way that is quite detrimental, where it's actually quite limiting. And there are a lot of things that really resonate for me with human design, and there's actually a lot of things that I have learned about human design over the years that don't vibe with me at all. Like I just don't resonate with it, and I'm just letting it be. Luckily, I have developed this attitude with human design that I only use what serves me and I leave the rest. This is something I remind my clients of over and over and over again. Because let's be real, we humans, we like to have certainty because we're so scared of the unknown, even though it's only in the unknown where we can create magic, where we can be fully tapping into our creativity. Because when you're creative, right, you usually create something new, not something you already know. But again, we like to have this very set manual of how are we supposed to live our life. It's almost like we're giving our power away and like, oh, this tool is saying I should do X, Y, Z. That's where we have this strategy and authority that is giving us guidance about how to make decisions, right? Now, we have to be very, very careful here because we make a lot of decisions, right? Not every decision is necessarily the same. And if you have been following me for some time, and if you're new in my world, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I have a very unique view also on the 5 types in human design. I don't think it's very much like this is what this type can do, and this is what this type can do or shouldn't do. For me, it's very much an overlap. It's more like an archetype. We can tap into all these archetypes at some point in our life. I'm also not a very big fan of the aura in human design, and you may like it or not, but that's how I see it. And also because I have been learning about how the human design chart really comes about. And depending on what astrology is behind, your human design chart can also change. And I have seen people that got so stuck into this one human design chart, and we can over obsess about it. And this is just this one way of how I can live my life, right? That feels very much like a box to me. And often when people go into it in this too radical way for me, I also often see that people then get a little bit of a shock of how it's actually not good for them. And then they want to have nothing to do anymore with human design, which for me is also very understandable because it's also this polarity of going from one extreme to the other. That's why for me, any tool, just like human design, let's use it lightly. This is something that was received through what he called the voice by Ra Uru Hu, and he shared it with us. We have a lot of different people throughout history that have shared things with us, but we don't want to put it on a pedestal or make it like this is now the God or something like this. I think we have to be very, very careful with this, right? If this is something that really resonates with you, that is wonderful. But again, let's not put it on a pedestal. It's not going to have all the answers for you because just that speaking out for me feels very, very disempowering. Well, like, oh no, but my human design says I can do this or I can't do that. And there is a concept in human design that was called the no choice, that does not resonate with me at all. And I'm going to actually share a quote here that I have found by Ra. It says, the only thing we can do is be aware of the happening of life. After all, that's what passenger consciousness is all about. It's about being aware of what is happening. All we can do is watch. Okay, it's like, yeah, you came here in this world, everything is set in stone. No matter what you do, it's not going to have an influence on anything. You're just here to watch. And yeah, follow your strategy and authority, but that's all you can do. To me, that's very, very disempowering, right? And what I find much more disempowering is that you are the creator of your life. And if human design helps you to step more into the empowered version of you, then it's absolutely beautiful. And there's also one particular gate or gene key that has also really helped me to overcome this limitation of this no choice, which again has never resonated with me. And the one thing that I always go back to that I have learned through human design is that I am here to listen to what feels right in my body. And if my body says no to what Ra said, or a book said, or a blog post online said, or somebody's opinion is, then I go with what feels right to me. Because what may be somebody else's truth may not be my truth. And that's okay, right? Kind of going back to what I talked about last week, where I invited you to stop just listening to everybody and follow that blindly and really prioritize trusting yourself. Even what I'm here saying right now, take it with a grain of salt. What feels right and true to you? That's what I want to empower you with. That's what I think is the most important for all of us humans. While we also want to respect, of course, that there may be some people that believe there's no choice. We don't have to fix that. We don't have to change them. Let's work on ourselves. Let's step into our own truth. So, with there's no choice, like I said, it never resonated with me. And then as I was studying the gene keys in more depth, one gene key really stood out. It was the 35th gene key. It actually talks about that this is the one part in the human DNA where we do have choice. We get to choose in every single moment. Do I step more into my disempowered version that's more stuck in the shadow, where I feel like the world is against me and everything is happening to me and I cannot do anything about it? Or I can choose, while I'm aware that I may feel disempowered or more in like a victim frequency, I can be aware of it. That's what I can watch and observe. But then I have this power within myself to actually make another choice. So I have a choice. I can choose to have a different thought pattern. I can choose to work on shifting my beliefs. I can choose on taking an action that is aligned with a more empowered version of myself, where I'm more stepping into the higher frequency, the gift frequency, how we call it in the Gene Keys. And so in every moment of our life, we always have a choice, right? And I just want you to think about this. Like, how are you using human design? More to feed the disempowered version of yourself? Or are you using it to find confirmation to actually take certain action and to step more into the empowered version of yourself, where you have more empowering beliefs, where you are allowing yourself to also shift your thinking? Because for me, yeah, I have never been a big fan of just like, yeah, just change your thoughts and your life is going to change. I'm actually a very big supporter of working with the somatics and feeling your emotions. That is so crucial. But from this place, along with that, I think it's actually very, very powerful to also be aware of some habitual thinking patterns that may actually not work for me, more against me. And as I'm aware of it in every single moment of my life, as I notice them, I can start to shift it, even though it may not be on autopilot. It takes some time to create new habits. Here, there's another gene key or gate that comes to my mind is gate 58. It's about becoming masterful at something. It's the joy of becoming masterful at something. It takes repetition. It takes doing something over and over again. And sometimes we feel like we're not getting anywhere. We feel like we're failing. But over time, as we keep doing it again and again and again, we become really good at something. Like with what is the way we think, the way we see ourselves? What is the beliefs we have created for ourselves? And it does take some effort to change and shift it over time. But you do have that choice. It's just like you can make the choice to stay in bed all morning and not go out for a walk and eat unhealthy food and do it again and again and again. And over time, that's going to impact you, right? How you feel. Probably going to feel really lethargic. But if you start to choose on a more consistent basis, hey, let me get up in the morning, let me go out for a walk, let me choose healthier foods. And as you keep doing this again and again, and it may not be easy always, right? Because if you're used to a certain lifestyle that may not be great for you, but you're used to it, it takes some time to shift it. But over time, you're going to see how, through your daily choices that you're making, you're totally changing your 3D reality and your identity. Because you may feel so much better, you're more energized, your frequency naturally goes up as you feel better in your body. You're making better choices for how you move your body and the foods that you eat, for example. And then from that energy, you attract more things into your life that you then get to respond to, following your authority in human design. So the way that I see this is that life, with all the different possibilities or realities we have access to, is almost like a cone shape, right? And if we're always responding more from the lower vibration, where we feel like more like a victim, like everything is against us, we're kind of going all the way at the bottom, right? Where things are just not working out so well. There's just unnecessary struggle for us. And it's probably where we're really staying in our comfort zone because, again, we're so used to it. It feels more familiar to our nervous system, even though it may not be great. And as we start to shift to make different choices, we can level up. In Kabbalah, this is something that I learned from David Guillaume. He talks about the concept of like, you choose like in what movie you are the actor, right? And as you keep making these daily choices, you can totally shift the narrative of which movie you are taking part of. And again, it's like, yeah, one choice again and again over time, it accumulates. It really shifts and changes who we are being. It really changes our identity, how we perceive the world. And it comes from having the choice in every single moment. And I have known or noticed from my own experience as well that especially when I lean into making choices where I have this strong pull in my body, I know it's for me to do. For example, to record this podcast episode. I can tell you right now, there's a part of me is like, keep it safe. Maybe this is going to trigger people a little bit. Let's not talk about it. They may not like it, especially if you quote Ra. But I really had this pull first to do this. Usually my intuition and a knowing keeps repeating itself a few times. And it really also comes out of the flow of channeling what wants to come through me. And I may say here, yes, this is a divine will that wants to come through me to share this message with the world. But I still have this choice right now where I can say yes to it or I can say no to it and stay more in my comfort zone. And I'm choosing more and more to actually lean into what actually feels a little bit like a stretch that actually gets me out of my comfort zone. And I can tell you it's pretty magical because I keep more and more stepping into the empowered version of myself. And I think that applies to all of us humans. As long as it feels first right in your body, And then, yeah, you have fears come up, you have the self-doubt come up, right? We all know this. But that's where it's for us to really lean into and take the action, anyways. So, this is also sometimes in other systems where we have this conversation about, well, fate versus free will, where we feel like, yeah, my life is just all planned already. There's nothing I can do about it. And I don't know, right? I don't know. Maybe that's the case. How long we're going to live is already set in stone. But I don't know. But at least, even if that's set in stone, the time that I'm here, I want to make the best out of it. Because we can be here for, let's say, 100 years. And it's just struggle. We don't feel well. And it's just not joyful because we keep making those lower frequency decisions where we feel like we have no choice. Everything is happening to us. We feel like a victim. Or I can say, well, I have these 100 years. Let's make the best out of it. Let me keep growing. Let me keep expanding my comfort zone. Let me keep trusting what wants to flow through me. So for me, that's how I see it, right? Again, reminder, trust yourself, how it feels right to you. I do believe there is a divine will. There is some consciousness that wants to come through you that only you can share with the world in your unique way as you embody your zone of genius. And this is something I've talked about many times before. That is this zone of genius where things are just coming effortlessly to you. You don't have to think about it too much. You don't necessarily have to study for it. It's just something you're really, really good at. And we often tend to think, well, it's nothing special. What's the big deal about it? But you have these gifts and talents for a reason. And yours are probably going to be very different than mine. And it's also great that they're different because imagine everybody has the same gift and talents. We would live in a very robotic world. I love variety, right? I think it's the best. I mean, we need people that love to garden. We need to have people that love to cook. We need to have people that love to build furniture, whatever it is. There's so many different things. And as we can lean into these unique gifts and talents we have, this is again what I believe is this divine will that wants to come through us. We have the choice of how we do it, right? We can resist it, we can push it away, or we can fully lean into it. And I think leaning into it does require for us to trust a lot. It does require for us to actually work through a lot of fears and worries and really lean into the magic of the unknown, this big quantum field of new possibilities we haven't fully stepped into. And in that same context, there's something else that I see in human design that I think can also contribute to this more no choice, disempowered energy. We are here to respond to life. We especially learn this through the generator archetype, the sacral center, all the sacral gates that are coming off the sacral center. They are responsive energies where we're here to respond to life. And this goes from the moment you wake up. Let's say you wake up and the sun is out and you feel like, oh, you're responding it like, I want to go for a walk. And then you open up the fridge and you're responding to what food feels right to you, right? Or you're responding when a friend is calling you to go work on a project. You may say yes, you may say no. It could be a whole big topic for another episode. But also, as you are responding to life, so is life responding to you. It's like a feedback loop. It goes both ways. And what that basically means is, yes, while we're here to respond to life through these choices that we make, like I was talking about, we become aware of our thought patterns, of our beliefs, and the actions we are taking. As we start to become aware of it and start to shift it through making choices in every single moment, I do believe we can really up-level consciousness, meaning we're raising our frequency. This is what the entire Jinkies is about, right? We have these 3 levels of consciousness: the shadow, the gift, and the city. And it's not about making the shadow a bad thing. I want you to see this as your fertile soil. As you're more in the shadow energy, that's your big opportunity to become aware of it and like, yay, I have a choice now to change it, to shift one little step at a time. And it's totally normal. We will fall back. We keep fluctuating between the gift and the shadow frequency. But over time, you're going to start to notice you're going to be more and more hanging out in the higher gift frequency. And we may even get glimpses of the city frequency, which is this highest level of consciousness. And with that, we are totally shifting how life, how the universe, the quantum field is responding to us, because everything is energy. We are energy, right? And if I am consistently vibing at a lower frequency, I'm also attracting more of those experiences into my life. And as I make choices that are increasing my frequency, I also start to attract more experiences that are aligned with the frequency where I'm at. And of course, you may be like, yeah, but how can I change it? Because it really sucks when I'm at a lower frequency. But once we are aware of it, we can interrupt the pattern. And through these choices we are making, we are slowly, gently shifting it. And I think sometimes we are too impatient and we just want to shift it 360-degree. But this is also something I have learned through my years of coaching with habit change. When we change too quickly, it's still not safe for our nervous system. And we may take a huge back forward, but then we take 2 steps back, right? Because it was more from forced energy. And when we can lean into this more gentle approach that comes about through the consistency of taking daily new choices, I find it becomes more sustainable. We're really stepping more smoothly into this, let's call it new identity. Or we're just letting go of the things that are no longer serving us at the same time. I'm very much a fan of letting it be gentle, one step at a time, as we're always being very compassionate with the shadow parts. And so it's also a little bit like a radio, right? When you turn on a radio, like these old ones with the where you have like a little button you turn and then you see like what frequency you're tuning in. And you may have a goal of how you want your life to look like. But if your frequency is totally out of alignment with that energetic energy of that goal that you have, there's going to be a mismatch. But as we keep shifting our inner consciousness, again, from the daily choices we make, at some point you are on that frequency of what you desire. And it just automatically finds you. So it's like that's how the universe is responding to you, right? Because I do find when I only think about, I am only responding to life, but I'm not understanding how life is also responding to me, it can really put us in a very passive, disempowered state. That there's like, oh, I cannot do much about it. But when I understand, like, oh, wow, life is a mirror of me. It's always reflecting it back or tuning into the frequency that I'm at. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm actually here in the driver's seat. I can actually make things happen. I have the power to change things because I have the choice in every single moment. You see how that's a whole different energy? And there's another thing that I heard on another podcast. It was on the School of Greatness, a recent interview that Lewis House had. I don't remember exactly the name of the person right now, but he made this reference about a soccer game. And I love soccer. I'm growing up in Germany. Soccer is a thing. And he was talking about, how most people, they live their life playing defense. And when you have a soccer game, right? When you're just playing defense, basically means you're trying to avoid that the other team is making a goal. And I mean, if you're lucky, you can tie the game 0-0. if you're just playing defense, right? But you're never gonna win ever, right? You're not gonna really go for the thing that you want to have. But when you play both, because we still need defense, right? If you're only playing offense in soccer, it's often like this too much masculine energy. So in a way, for me, defense is more the feminine, where we're allowing the other team to play with us, and we're doing the best we can to respond to it. And if we can avoid the goal, and sometimes they make a goal, okay. But then out of this more defensive, more feminine energy, we're then leaning into the offense, the more masculine. And well, we can make a goal. We can actually manifest some of the desires that were planted in our heart. I really believe that we have desires. Of course, we can also over obsess about desires and get super attached and have these high expectations. But there's some heart desires we have. They are there for a reason, for you to go for it. And if we keep staying in our comfort zone and never have the courage to be the offense in soccer and try to make it into the goal, we already know we can never make the goal. We're never gonna get there. And in soccer, right? They keep trying and trying and trying. And many times they don't hit a goal at all, but they showed up, they did it. And other times they score 3 goals, they may have 8. It could be even more. They have kind of a home run. And I really think that's also how it is in life, and also working with your human design. There are many, many times where you really have to step into the offense. And again, don't disregard the defense. It's this interplay of dancing with the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And as you keep trusting yourself, as you often have the courage to blend out the noise of what everybody else is trying to say, or where your ego is trying to keep it safe and have you play small, when you then have the courage to really do what your body is asking you to do, even though then you have some fears come up trying to talk you out of it, you're going to do the thing. Like, this could be launching your podcast. This could be finally creating an Instagram account and talking about the things that you're really passionate about. There's so many things, right? That you probably know deep inside what this is, but you still haven't done it because you keep trying to tell yourself you're not ready. People are going to criticize you. They're not going to like what you have to say, but the dream keeps nagging on you and nagging on you. It's here so that you can fully step into this and make those daily choices. And I also believe that life always wants the best for you. And it is through our daily actions, through showing up and really showing the universe of how willing and committed we are to live our best life, that it keeps responding to us. And a way I see it is that the universe gets kind of excited as you have the courage to show up and do the thing, whatever it is for you. Maybe for you, it's publishing a book. Maybe for you, it's to sell your house and be a nomad for the next 1 or 2 years. There's so many different possibilities. And again, it will only be you who knows what this is for you. So with that, I just want to leave you with a sense of empowerment that you have a choice. You totally are in charge of the daily choices that you make. And you totally have a huge influence of how your life turns out. Because if you have this knack to do your own business and get out of corporate, for example, that's what a lot of my clients come to me with. It's there for a reason, especially if it keeps calling your name again and again and again. Is it going to be easy? Probably not. Is it worthwhile? Absolutely, yes. What matters is that at some point we make that choice and we make that decision to actually go for the thing. So this is my big message for you today. Again, anything that comes into your life, always use it or see it with a little bit of a grain of salt and use what serves you. And you will notice, like, is this empowering you or is this making you feel very, very disempowered? And in the context of human design and the gene keys, my mission really here is to use it in a way that is incredibly empowering for you, where you see it as a tool that can help you to fully step into your highest calling and create the life that you desire in your heart. Again, those desires are there for a very big reason. So you have a choice, you are a creator, and the universe is always responding to you. So with that, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'm excited to be back with you on the next episode.